The Nürburgring Nordschleife is one of the oldest and most prestigious racetracks in the world. Nicknamed the Green Hell by Sir Jackie Stewart, the Nordschleife is over 20 kilometers long and features 154 turns. Almost all performance cars benchmark their performance with lap times at the Nordschleife. So why is this hugely popular racetrack not being used by F1? In the early 1920s, motorsport in Germany used to be done on public roads. This was obviously deemed to be too dangerous, so ideas of a custom-built racetrack were brought up. The idea was to build the racetrack in a mountainous area so that the famous ADAC Eifelrennen could still take place. There were two tracks at the Nürburgring, the North Loop, which is called the Nordschleife, and the South Loop, which was called the Südschleife. In 1973, however, the Südschleife was shut down, and a few years later, the new Grand Prix circuit was opened. Formula 1 has actually raced at the Nürburgring GP track in 4 different years, with the latest being in 2013. Surprisingly, F1 has actually raced at the track we're focusing on, the Nordschleife, up until 1976. Here are the reasons why it can't race there anymore. The first reason is the length of the track. Most F1 venues are between 5 and 6 kilometers long. The Nordschleife is 20 kilometers long. This would mean that the gaps between the cars would be a lot bigger than if they were to smaller circuits. It could be interesting for the driver to focus on their lap times, but the race wouldn't carry as much excitement for the fans. A longer circuit would also mean less racing laps, resulting in the spectators seeing the cars go past them fewer times, also resulting in a less exciting race. The next reason is safety. The bumpy nature of the track, along with short runoff areas for such a high-speed track, means safety is a big concern. Current Formula 1 cars would barely be able to cope with the surface of the track thanks to its bumps. The graffiti would also have to be removed to ensure high grip levels. Some corners would also have to be completely redesigned to ensure that the cars can go round them safely. Trees would also have to be removed to ensure for better runoff areas, and many more marshals would be required as it is a much larger circuit. If all of this did happen, then the essence and the sheer challenge of the Green Hell would be greatly reduced. The Nordschleife would just become a regular racetrack. Also, do you ever wonder what happened at the last Grand Prix at the Nordschleife in 1976? One of the worst crashes in Formula 1 history. Niki Lauda's Ferrari swerved off the track and hit the embankment, burst into flames and extensively burnt his face. The final reason is money. The Nürburgring is in a weak financial position. A few years ago it filed for bankruptcy and was later bought. It simply cannot afford to host an F1 Grand Prix. If it did somehow manage to get the basic funds, then the modifications to the track that I mentioned earlier could once again drain the Nürburgring of all its financial resources. So that's why F1 can't race at the Nordschleife. It's too expensive, too dangerous, and the race probably wouldn't be that good either. What other tracks do you want Formula 1 to race at? Comment below.